Hello, my name is Enrica Jang. I'm the Executive Director of Poe Baltimore, the nonprofit organization that stewards the Edgar Allan Poe House and Museum in Baltimore, Maryland. I am also the awards administrator for the Saturday Visitor Awards, a new honor recognizing a generation of artists and writers inspired by Edgar Allan Poe. And I'm very pleased to welcome one of our newest judges for the Saturday Visitor Awards in 2021, Dr. Amy Armiento. Welcome.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. Please share with everyone your role as president of the Poe Studies Association.
Okay, sure. So I am, as you say, the president of the Poe Studies Association. We're an international organization with about 250 members, and we are devoted to supporting the scholarship on the life and works of Edgar Allan Poe. I've been a member of this organization since 2002, and then I became a member of the executive committee in 2011. So I've been with them almost 20 years. I just did the math today. I was surprised to see that.
How did you, were you always a Poe fan? I feel like we have to be true lovers before we spend this much time devoting our lives to this.
Yeah, so I was fortunate, I think, in some ways. My parents didn't have many books on their bookshelves. My father's a musician and my mom's a hairstylist, but they did have some books on the shelf. And Poe was in some of the collections. They had some of those like American Library collections of works and such. So I did pull their books off the shelf when I was young and look through there. But mostly, I would have to say it's Stephen King who brought me to Poe, and also Anne Rice. Those were the writers I would read as an adolescent. And, of course, they mention him, and I was familiar with Poe. The Telltale Heart is the work that really brought me to Poe, and I just kept reading around him, and then it was kind of like, okay, maybe I need to just go back to the source since everybody I'm reading is inspired by him. And then, yeah, when I got into college, that's where I really intensified my love of Poe by immersing myself in his works. And I'm really a fan of the short stories by Poe. I mean, poetry, okay, yeah, but but it's always going to be a short story that I pick up in my leisure time.
There are the poetry folks, there are the short story folks like us. You, one of us. Okay. And then I have not met very many of the seashell book folks.
No, yes.
So I'm sure there's one.
One guy maybe somewhere.
There's one. There's one. And then of course, the Eureka folks too.
Oh yeah, so. There are for sure.
Yeah. The Saturday Visitor Awards, obviously, incredibly important, and Poe, endlessly debated, fascinating. Personality, but of course, Poe's work brings together all genres and all mediums of art, and so the Saturday Visitor Awards recognizing new generations, as you noted, inspired by Poe, and people bring us back to the original works, and the original works inspire. So when you think of these adaptations, Stephen King, Anne Rice, anything else that really struck you in terms of adaptations or original works inspired by Poe? Your favorites?
Mm-hmm. So when I was in college as an undergraduate, I also was in the film club, in addition to many other things, of being an English major as well as a communications major. And my teacher introduced us to Tim Burton's short, Vincent. So that always will have a special place in my heart. Of course, many people are aware of that. Wasn't a huge fan of The Simpsons, but of course I've seen the Treehouse of Terror or Treehouse of Horror episode of The Raven, which is quite accurate. So I do enjoy that. I'm also drawn very much to artistic works, like fine art works. So even here with my Raven, I don't know if it can be seen on this all the time. So with jewelry, this is on like a little tile, but also just that kind of thing. I treasure those quite a bit. So, in music, Alan Parsons Project, and I enjoy it all. I don't necessarily seek it out, but it's almost ubiquitous. So it comes into my world, and I love it all.
I've talked to members of the Post Studies Association. Comics is what brought them in, or those illustrated classics, and then
Yeah.
of course, and very recently, of course, The Simpsons. I love that you mentioned you mentioned The Simpsons. I'm sure a whole generation of people are here watching now because they were drawn in for that. But no, those are some really really great ones. Well, obviously, again, it's a fascinating mystery, different enigmatic points of Poe's life for scholarship, and of course, because of the way he was maligned after his death, fascinating. Lots of arguing about what is the truth, these kinds of things. But do you have your own opinions of like why Poe is still so present in popular culture? I love to play that game, try to find another author who's really influenced popular culture the same way Poe has. Why do you think he's still so present?
Well, I think, here we are a year after the pandemic has been declared in our country, and I just think of something like The Mask of the Red Death, which took on all kinds of new relevance recently, and it made me think a lot more about, just appreciating how well he understands humankind and our greedy and dark and selfish impulses. And The Mask of the Red Death really resonates now, because reread that story recently. I invite you to do so. And I think as I go through his works, I keep just thinking to myself, this could be written about now. And whoever this is, he just got that thing about humanity. And I think it's also just sort of that fascination we have with that darkness inside of us. If we don't necessarily identify, hopefully we don't exactly identify with the homicidal people in his stories, there is still that sympathy or understanding, or often I would say that revenge fantasy that is a pleasure to indulge in for just a few minutes, the time it might take to read the story, and then we can get out and distance ourselves from that character and say, well, okay, of course I would never go that far.
I 100% agree. Well, you are absolutely right. We are living in a very Poe-esque, enigmatic age. So I am interested in how interpretation, especially our understanding of our new understanding of poverty, disease, these kinds of things for this generation. We'll see. As I'm seeing some of these entries come in for the Saturday Visitor Awards, I think a lot of this is going to speak to you. So I'm very excited to see your reaction, and we'll see how the judges respond to some of the work that we're seeing. But I'm so excited. Thank you so much for being part of the award. To seeing and hearing more, and hopefully we'll see you at the festival in October.
I hope so too, and thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to seeing everybody's take on Poe these days.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, we have until May 30th for your entries for the Saturday Visitor Awards. Thank you to Dr. Armiento for being with us today, and I will look forward to seeing everybody at the festival in October. Thank you again to Dr. Armiento for being with us. We recorded that interview probably around March, so we were about the 1-year mark. And May 30th seemed like it was a very long time away for entries still to be rolling in. But guys, one more week. We're in the final week for people to submit their entries for the Saturday Visitor Awards. Happy Monday. Good evening. I'm Marika Chang, director at the Edgar Allan Poe House and Museum, Poe Baltimore, and the awards administrator for the Saturday Visitor Awards. Our live session tonight to answer some of your questions, any questions you may have about the Saturday Visitor Awards. We recorded these interviews with some of the judges from the SVAs this year. Dr. Armiento is one of our newest judges this year. Very pleased to welcome our 6-person panel. These are the folks who will be judging our awards this year. This is text is a little bit small on this picture, but I can let's see if you want to visit our website, SaturdayVisitorAwards.org. We do have a page devoted to, so you can learn about some of our judges in the organization. On the website. Now, I did see a question come in from Frederick here. Do you know about the movie The Pale Blue Eye? What's really great is I know that book. Louis Bayard, author Louis Bayard, absolutely wonderful author. That book, one of my favorite, absolute favorite books. You know that very, very well. And I see a comment here, no audio, so let me double check. Hope you can hear me now. Hope that's good. All right. So here to answer any questions folks may have about the Saturday Visitor Awards. I am here to answer some questions. We've been doing this series for a little bit, but coming back to I'm hearing that the audio stops when I show graphics. Hey, Frederick, can you hear me now? Make sure that that's okay. All right, hope that that's a little bit better. So why don't we go back here? Go back in here, Saturday Visitor Awards, some quick frequently asked questions and tips. We want to make sure that we are answering everybody's questions. And this is an opportunity to send some questions my way if you have them. Hey, Frederick, thank you for letting me know about the sound, and we'll hopefully get that back going. But you asked about The Pale Blue Eye, one of my absolute favorite books. And Louis Bayard was one of our guest speakers and presenters at the very first Saturday Visitor Awards, as a matter of fact. So some dates to remember. January 19th was the call, open for the call for entries, but May 30th is the deadline to enter. That is Sunday night, the penultimate day here in May. Form will close at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. That is Eastern. Once the portal closes, that is it for this year. You will have an opportunity to enter next year. Nominees will be announced on July 30th and notified so that they can make plans to come and see us in October for this International Edgar Allan Poe Festival and Awards. And the winners are announced October 2nd, the night of the Black Cat Ball at Poe Fest International here in Baltimore. Now, last year, our festival was virtual. We are planning an in-person event this year, so please save the date. Date to remember, weekend to remember, October 2nd and 3rd, 2021, the International Edgar Allan Poe Festival and the Saturday Visitor Awards, and this is when we announce them. So save that date. You're going to be coming out to see us at Poe House. But this is 2 days of books, music, art, music, just about anything Gothic and wonderful, and kicking off the Halloween season. So coming back in to talk about seeing these dates to remember. Now, you can find more information about the Saturday Visitor Awards, SaturdayVisitorAwards.org. That's the website for all things about the awards. You will see the entry guidelines. You can download those in a PDF or you can read them on the site. We also have a sample entry form, so you can download that, formulate your answers, get everything ready for your entry form before you submit. There's a page devoted to some other frequently asked questions. If you see something on that page, though, that or you don't see something on that page and you want to get some answers, please feel free to contact us, contact@poefestinternational.org. Now, we do ask, please don't try to contact us in private messages on Twitter or private messages here on Facebook. We've got a different team of folks looking at the messages that come in there. But if you have some specific questions, or if you want to send some questions tonight in the chat while we're still live, very happy to answer some of those questions or give you a little bit personal attention. Make sure that we have everything. You have everything that you need before you enter. So the Saturday Visitor Awards are given in 2 categories, and I'm going to show another video here in just a moment, but the 2 categories are awards for adaptations of Poe's life or works, more of the traditional, perhaps, understanding of adaptations of Poe's works, portraiture, biography. Because of the narrative nature of biography, it is in this category. Now, important to note that these are awards for artistic works, not necessarily to recognize scholarly works. So we're not looking for academic papers or treatises, but biography still can fall in this category. Film, dramatic adaptation, these kinds of things for direct adaptations of Poe's life or works. The second category, original works inspired by Edgar Allan Poe. Poe's life as a character in an original film, novel, or play, sequel or prequel to one of Poe's works, some kind of basis for original story, novel, poetry, original poetry, this kind of thing. But we have seen some wonderful musical scores. We have seen theater, theatrical interpretation, it was comics, just about everything at this point. We're so excited to see this year's entries. I see a couple of questions coming in. Oh, wonderful. Have poems to enter. Yes, poetry, very, very welcome. And we've had some winners, as a matter of fact, for poetry. But I will play a video about our guidelines here. I love those videos. We have those thanks to Mark Mullaney and his wonderful work for the International Edgar Allan Poe Festival and Awards. So here. So questions about eligibility. And I really do try to hammer these, make sure that people understand what we're looking for when it comes to the eligibility for works. Looking for media, art, performance, and or writing that adapts or is inspired by Poe's life and works. Now, the original works category, of course, can stray pretty far. People get very, very creative with this. But one of the things you want to do is make sure that you're drawing a direct line from Edgar Allan Poe to the work. So if something is perhaps not intuitively connected to Poe, you definitely want to make your case in the form. We'll talk about that in a moment. There are no restrictions for medium or genre. We are looking for film, theater, music, poetry, novels, podcasts, anything that is inspired by Poe. Very pleased to see this array of work, and you should not feel limited or think that because you don't fall into a traditional kind of category, you can't quite categorize this work, that you wouldn't be welcome here. Please take a look at those categories. They are broad for a reason, and you may find that the work fits. Now, the work must have been released, printed, distributed, or first performed between January 1, 2018 and December 31, 2020. That is the previous 3 years. This eligibility is rolling, so you may be eligible in more than 1 year, but it's very important to note, this trips people up often. Very important to note that not something that you just scribbled down in a notebook and never showed anybody and then you submit the awards, or unpublished works are not eligible yet. You want to make sure that these have been published, distributed, printed. Now, self-published works do count, or internet publishing does count. Social media posting does count, as long as the post or there's a timestamp or the video was uploaded January 1, 2018 through December 31, 2020, sometime in the previous 3 years. Now, if you are finishing up your work now, or you released it in February of 2021, you're not eligible yet. Sorry, guys, but 1 more year and it's ready. You'll be ready to go. Similarly, reprinted or re-released materials are discouraged. So let's say something was released maybe 5-10 years ago, but it has been re-released or reprinted sometime within this period of eligibility. We discourage this type of work unless the work has been changed materially in some way, a new section added, some serious editing there, something like that. And you want to be honest about this, because as the administrator, if I'm going through the work and I am checking copyright on this and I'm seeing some of this was released outside the period of eligibility, you are going to want to try to make your case to the judges how the work has been reprinted or re-released in some materially different way. A work may be nominated in more than 1 year. Some of our nominees from the previous 2 years, you are welcome to enter your work again, but our winners are eternal. Our winners, winning entries may not be entered again. You are a winner forever, and you don't get to be a winner again. You're still one. So I hope that is clear. If any questions about this, if I see any other questions come in, I'm very happy to answer these. So continuing on now, as we're taking a look at the, if you look at the guidelines and you download the sample form, I'm going to put this thing over my head here, talking behind it. You are going to be given an opportunity to provide a description or synopsis of the work for the judges. This is where you would explain to the judges how, what they might be missing by not being in the presence of the piece. If you don't have a video, or if you've created a beautiful sculpture and the judges can't personally be there, can't be in that space and can only see images, this is where you can describe for the judges what might not be readily apparent by what they're seeing in that image, and even discuss some of the process here. So any works that long process to make, or a complicated process that you want the judges to be aware of just how much work went into this. This is the place to describe for the judges something that might not be readily apparent for them. For long form entries, now we're not going to make our poor judges who are volunteering their time, we're not going to make them read an entire novel for the first round. For long form entries such as films, novels, scripts, anything longer than 20 minutes, we're going to ask the creator to please highlight a segment for the judge's consideration that best represents the work, indicating a start and end page or a timestamp with start time and an end time, a representative 10,000 words or a representative 20-minute duration for that entry. And that is the segment of the work that the judge will be looking at for the first round of the Saturday Visitor Awards. So if you have a long form entry, such as a novel, such as your opus 6-hour movie, this kind of thing, or a long series of works, this is the place where you will select a representative 20 minutes or a representative 10,000 words to give the judges a peek into the piece. And then when it moves to the second round, they have the option to look a little deeper into the work, look further into the work if you proceed to the second round. Now, I want to go back to something very quickly here. When we're talking about eligibility, talking about podcasts. If you, for instance, have been working on a podcast or a comic series for several years now, any piece that you submit must fall within this period of eligibility. So you see it January 1, 2018, December 31, 2020. So just because issue 1 came out in 2017, but you've been doing the series ever since, you are still eligible to enter the awards, but you want to make sure that whatever piece you submit, whatever segment you submit has been created within the period of eligibility, and you want to make that clear to the judges. I hope that is clear as mud, but I'll answer any questions as I see them a little bit later. We do request a statement from the artist, really, again, drawing that direct line from the work, from Edgar Allan Poe to the work. And that is the same for the adaptation category. That is same for the original works category. Really give the judges a sense of why you feel this work really is, comes from this inspiration for Poe. We are the Edgar Allan Poe House and Museum. We are the International Edgar Allan Poe Festival and Awards. And so this is the time to really give your artist statement to the judges and give them a sense of just how Poe has inspired you. And I guarantee you that this is a very important part of the application. There is a fee for entry. Every entry is a $25 fee to enter the Saturday Visitor Awards for considerations, a non-refundable fee. All right, so see any other questions that might be coming up here. It's a question from Frederick. Does distribution on social media count? Absolutely. Distribution on social media does count. As a matter of fact, social media is actually a pretty quick way to show us that the work was actually released in the time that we're talking about. We do ask, though, that the post be public, that you don't want it to be a private post that you give the judges a password to. It should be public. This is something that you should have shown the world before you show it to our judges. I hope that that is clear. And thank you for that question, Frederick. Appreciate that. You've been very helpful, as a matter of fact, this whole evening. Thank you very much. Talking about the volume and everything. Look forward to meeting you. All right, guys. Any other questions we might have before we finish this evening? Let me see if I missed anything up here. Let's see. Yes, the Saturday Visitor Awards. Let me put up a couple of banners here so we can show you that information again, just in case anybody is missing it. If you have any questions you want to send my way this week, this is the time to do it. contact@pofestinternational.org. You can send me any questions you might have about your specific entry. You don't want to send those via Twitter. You don't want to send them direct message here on Facebook or on YouTube. You definitely want to send these questions via email if you have questions specifically about your work, especially if you have questions about eligibility or if you have questions about whether or not you fall in the adaptation or original works category. Sometimes that can get a little bit fuzzy. One thing you can feel good about, though, is no matter where you enter, if the judges determine that the piece might be better in the other category and want to kick it over to the next category, you're not going to be penalized for entering one category over the other and then having to be moved. We'll just switch you over and you're still in the running for the awards. That has happened in the past and happens frequently. More information at SaturdayVisitorAwards.org. That is where to enter your work in the portal. That is where to download any information that you might need about the awards, look for frequently asked questions, anything like that. All right. Any other questions? This is good. Thank you so very much for being with us this evening, and I hope to see everyone at the festival. Before I go, I want to plug one more time. I'm just so excited about being able to announce the save the date for the International Edgar Allan Poe Festival and Awards. Again, 2 days of books, music, and art this weekend, commemorating the 172nd anniversary of Edgar Allan Poe's death in Baltimore, and very excited the return of the Black Cat Ball. A bunch of just wonderful events that weekend. It's my favorite time of the year. Let's see. Please do come and visit us at Poe House. Your support keeps Poe's chamber door open. You can make a donation to Poe Baltimore by texting Poe Baltimore to 44321 to donate, or you can just come and visit us. We are open for reservations. Visit poebaltimore.org to get tickets. We're open on a limited basis still because of COVID, but if anybody is going to be traveling to Baltimore, wants to come and see Poe House, we hope to see you there soon. We have launched our pavers for Poe. You can buy an engraved paver in the gift shop now, or you can go to paversforpoe.eventbrite.com to get your paver, as well as VIP first access to tickets for the festival this year. Visit poehouseshop.com for more information about that, or paversforpoe.eventbrite.com. More of that. You'll find those events on YouTube and on Facebook. All right. Thank you guys for being with me this evening. I hope you have a wonderful week. Get those entries in. One more week. I'm going to see you on Thursday of this week with our interview with Rafael Alvarez, our presenter and guest of honor in October for the Saturday Visitor Awards. Thank you very, very much, guys. You have a good night.